Okay. First thing you say, look at me the whole time. First thing, please give me your first and last name
Robin Borakove.
and spell that for me, please.
Robin Borakove.
Now, where are you from?
Borakove. I'm from California, Southern California.
And what brings you to Engage?
Well, I must say I was very fortunate. I have a wonderful publicist who worked for the NIH for about 4 years, and also with a wonderful man, Will Yu, who is connected with this conference. And he told Renee DeLuca about me. Turns out that I was in demand. For the first time, I was in demand. I am a patient on the spectrum who's receiving a treatment called Neurofield, and now I'm becoming mainstream to be able to help my people. So they heard about me and they looked into me, and Renee DeLuca contacted me and invited me. Didn't have to submit a proposal or anything. So I posted it on my Facebook, and my doctors saw it and they said, "Robin, we sent proposals. We're trying to get in. What the heck?" And my publicist explained to them, well, they have many of you trying, but they have very few of Robin. So my uniqueness has finally paid off.
So what makes you unique?
Well, I'm unique in the fact that I have been telling stories since I was about 3 years of age. I wrote my first book at 7, all told in rhyme, Little Edwin's Triumph. And I'm the kind of girl that when people spoke, their words were pictures. And that's kind of unique. So I created this entire world based on those pictures flying out of people's mouths. The land of Infaria. I've always believed in fairies, and my father used to say that everything was a fairy, a bird or butterfly, a rock, whatever. And he would distract me. And that way I created this entire universe to be able to survive self-preservation. Children are very mean when you start describing what you're seeing or when you're following pictures on the playground. So that set me apart from the rest.
As a patient, and coming to a conference that's centered around patient engagement, how important is patient engagement to a patient? How is it important for a doctor to engage a patient?
It's vital. It takes precedence over everything that they have a clear communication and a clear understanding for one another in order to make things move forward in their care.
When you were working with your doctors over the years, was that part of your treatment? Was that part of the plan? You know, was that how did that
No,
work?
that didn't work at all. They would hear my dad or mom describe my symptoms and they'd throw pills at me. My parents didn't believe in pills, so my dad kept me extremely structured. Healthy environment, healthy diet, lots of exercise, extreme education. We went to public school and we had private school for my father. So they refused to put me on those medications. And it wasn't until I became an adult and I was out on my own that I reached out to doctors as my autism was affecting me, and I didn't realize I was even autistic. I was diagnosed as schizophrenic, ADD, ADHD, the list goes on, and also the medications that go along with it, which none of them worked. It wasn't until I was 41 years of age, and we met a wonderful doctor that gave me this diagnosis of autism. He said, "Robin, you have Asperger's syndrome, a mild form of autism. You don't need those medications. You need keep up your healthy lifestyle, eating right. You need talk therapy, you need counseling, and you need to learn about your diagnosis so that you can deal with it. You have lots of tools, you're a brilliant woman." So I read books, I went to my first autism conference, I became Fairy Queen Flutterby, I trademarked my character, I was advocating for JDRF, and then I began advocating for autism. The next thing you know, I'm plateauing. And I'm really frustrated. People aren't taking me seriously. They're not listening to my ideas. I went to my first autism conference, met a Dr. Ellis. He is a forensic psychologist who helps people like me. He introduced me to a technique called neurofield and neurofeedback. Sent me to Dr. Nick Dogres, who's the one who rediscovered this treatment. I started going to Bishop, California. Fortunate I lived in California. Got my first treatment. I hadn't slept for more than 4 hours since birth without medication. I slept 10 hours that night. I was sold. The pictures were starting to dissipate. There's a trade-off, but that's okay. I didn't lose my creative well. I continued with my treatments, and now I have 25 under my belt. Now I sleep through the night. My medication now is meditation. And I have found that now my brilliance is shining brightly so others can have a lighted path. And in that, I have created this adult autistic special needs resource network. I've been presenting it to people and no one's listening. But today, for the first time, I got into this conference. Doctors are actually asking me, what do I think? This gives me hope. This makes me think that there is going to be a silver lining to our healthcare reform issues.
Which is a great segue into what makes you optimistic about healthcare.
That in itself, they're finally listening to us, the people they're treating. They're finally taking ideas from us on how to make their jobs easier, on how to make the transition that we're going through smoother. There is going to be growing pains. I've heard this in the speakers. It's so true. I've gone through those growing pains myself. It was not easy to find doctors that were willing to not just put a label on me and actually help me utilize the natural tools I was born with.
That's really great. What motivates you? I pretty much know this answer, but I want to get it on tape. What motivates you to take care of yourself, to live a healthy life?
Well, about 5.5 years ago, before I discovered my gifts, I tried to commit suicide. I tried to end my life. I had raised 2 of my own sons and 9 other boys over years, and when that all ended, I got empty nest and tried to go out into the world, and I wasn't accepted because I had created a world where I could stay at home. And then I realized, once I got the neurofield, suicide is not an option. There's other things I can do. I might not be successful in my end game, but I have many small successes along that journey. And if I don't continue those things, then I'll never know if I could have done it. I'll tell you a real gold nugget to my empire. This is what keeps me going. I've almost given up so many times in the last 5 years, but this cherry on top. There was a young man at one of my shows when I was the fairy doing a story. I always pass out my book because it has a picture of me as the fairy animated on the front so that they can see, oh, here she is, and she's on the book. The story goes on. This one little boy is itching to get out of his seat. He's about 15 years old, nonverbal, autistic, extreme. After the show, he runs up to me. He has the book in his hand. Tap, tap, tap. Taps on me. Tap, tap, tap. Yes, honey, that's me. I'm the fairy queen Flutterby. He drops the book and just hugs me. He's hugging me so tight. The teachers are crying. The assistant's crying. She's on the phone. Can you help me with this? So they kind of release me from him, and he's so excited. He picks up his book, and he's just so excited. They give me the phone. Can you talk to his mom? Sure. What was it like when my son hugged you? I said, exactly the way it was supposed to be. Now get your fanny down here. And she was like, what? I'm like, ma'am, I might be an Aspie, but I'm a brilliant woman. You need to come down here. Now you know what I'm going to say. I put my dress on her and my wig on her, and she walked into the classroom, and he took a beeline for her, and she got her first hug from her son. There was no medication involved. It was just the magic of the fairy. I have many of these little gems, but that is the piece de la resistance. So, you see, it goes better. I took her to the thrift store. We found a gown. We made a wig and a crown for her. I said, every morning you're going to put this on and you're going to get a hug good morning. And every night you're going to put it on and get a hug good night. And she did. 2 months later, I called her. I said, I want you to take off that dress. She was just adamant not to. And I said, just trust me. She kept the hair on. She kept getting the hugs. I called her again. I want you to take off the wig. No, Robin, I just can't do that. I said, trust me. She did. She's still getting hugs. And now I get a call just before I flew here. Robin, I am not allowed to use their names, unfortunately. John Doe is sick today from school. I said, honey, I am so sorry. Do you want me to come over? No, but I'm on the couch sitting here and his head is in my lap. The power of the fairy.
It is the power of the fairy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Grab the microphone from you.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, we'll be listening.